This has Yankee fans livid, as Marcus Stroman is not living up to his persona in the Bronx. We'll discuss the impact this news has on the Yankees' rotation and how Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman may have to pump the brakes a little bit and make a difficult decision moving forward. We'll break down all the implications of this and how it pertains to the New York Yankees. What's going on, guys? My name is Alex Brooks, and you're tuning into another edition of Yankees Digest. And if you guys want to stay up to date on Yankees content every week, especially for that 75% who are not subscribed, you guys better hit that subscribe button and comment down below to take part in the conversation on all things Yankees. We have topics of trades, series recaps, any sort of rumors. That is all covered here on Yankees Digest. But let's just get right into it. When we talk about Marcus Stroman, Marcus Stroman had a terrible start. Let's just get that out of the way. Marcus Stroman, terrible start for Double-A, inexcusable. Inexcusable as someone who is supposed to be the fifth starter, someone who is supposed to be a guy who has this personality, this big personality for the Bronx, who comes in and says, I want to be a starter. I'm not going to be moved to the bullpen. Well, the production, that didn't really show it, especially in this Double-A start. Understand that you're trying to get back. You're trying to get back to, the pitcher that you were before this injury back in 2024, but you can't have those comments in the beginning of the season and fall flat like that. So when we look at just a little bit of his stats, Max Goodman provided this on Twitter. He didn't even make it out of the fourth inning. 10 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. He only threw 65 pitches. And, something that really caught my eye with this tweet was that Marcus Stroman, this was supposed to be his last start before joining the Yankees. Well, it seems like he might have to have a little bit more conditioning down in Double-A Somerset. Yeah, you might want to put him in Triple-A just to see a lot more hitters, because that's not something you want to see. Not even getting out of the fourth inning and only striking out 1 and giving up 10 hits to players that are years away from being in the majors. So, very disappointing to see for Marcus Stroman. And Ryan Garcia provided another quote here on social media, struggling a lot in his rehab start. His velocity has been hovering around 89 miles per hour, and the command has not looked crisp. I don't know if he's much different from Carlos Carrasco at that point. And, when talking about just Stroman in general, he's been a locker room distraction. I mean, at the beginning of the season, making those comments saying that he wants to be a starter, he's not willing to go into the bullpen, and he doesn't really seem like he wants to be a Yankee. And as a Yankee fan myself, and as all the Yankee fans who are listening right now, if there's a guy who doesn't want to be a Yankee, then Yankee fans are not going to respond well to anything that he does, good or bad. And when you're in Double-A and you see those stats for Marcus Stroman not even making it out of the fourth inning, not really seeing his velocity get to where it is, I mean, he's not ready. He's not going to be the fifth starter. There's important games that are coming up for the Yankees in Athletic Series this weekend, and then you got the Mets the next weekend. And the Mets-Yankees rivalry, it is at a all-time peak right now, and you can't be for Aaron Boone, you can't be just throwing anybody in there just because Brian Cashman paid him some money. You got to go with someone else. You got to say, Stroman, you're either going to go to the bullpen, or you are going to, either stay in the minors, or you're going to have to be waived or released. So something that, just definitely, rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm sure it rubbed a lot of Yankee fans the wrong way, especially with his persona. And, when we talk about a little bit more on Marcus Stroman, he threw 41 of 65 pitches for strikes in his third outing for Somerset, and had a 6.97 ERA with 9 strikeouts and 5 walks and a 10 in the third innings. With Somerset, a 34-year-old right-hander, Stroman has been sidelined by left knee inflammation. He last pitched for the Yankees on April 11th after starting the season 0-1 with an 11.57 ERA. Yeah, like this has just been something that is, bothered Marcus Stroman this whole year. And it really doesn't help that the Yankees are missing Luis Gil. Now Ryan Yarbrough goes on the IL, and they're really scrambling for that fifth guy. And with, as I said before, with a lot of tough opponents coming up, obviously the Athletics, you should be able to breeze by with any pitcher that goes there. But when you got the Mets, like that is like World Series preview. That is playoff preview when you talk about those series. So Aaron Boone, Brian Cashman got to figure out who is going to be that fifth starter. And when we just a little bit more on Marcus Stroman, when we talk about his stats here, he went 0 for 1 with 11.57 ERA. He started 3 games, just didn't really look right, and obviously with that left knee inflammation, definitely a cause for concern for him. And you felt like, okay, if he's going on the IL, maybe take a little bit, do some rehab starts, gain your confidence back. But as I said before, when you have that personality, when you make those comments, you got to back it up. That is something that a lot, like any fan of a team, especially in New York, especially in the Bronx, when you're going in and saying that, hey, I'm going to be I want to be the starter. I will not be in the bullpen. I want to be a starter. I mean, when you show up fall flat like that, that is a major red flag for this team. And, if Aaron Boone was going to be smart and making the smart decision, he would not let Marcus Stroman be that fifth starter just because he's under an under a 2-year contract. You don't have to just save face and protect your ego by just putting Marcus Stroman out there and just hoping that he does well. You got to make sure that you play the smart decision and go with someone else. But comment below, see what you guys think about what you guys think about Marcus Stroman, and do you think the Yankees need to go in a different direction? Do you think we need to pump the brakes over here? What do you guys think? Comment down below your opinions on who should be that fifth starter. But when we look at Luis Gil, and then we'll go over here. When we look at Luis Gil is coming back from a injury himself after going on the IL, and it's he's kind of on the other side of the coin. Yankee fans are very encouraged with what they're seeing out of Luis Gil, especially pitching off the mound this last week. And when we go into Luis Gil, Aaron Boone had some encouraging comments to talk about Luis Gil. He said that I felt it looked really good. I think he was 95, 96. It looked every bit of that. Looked like it. Just the metrics on the four seam were really good, and I thought he was in control of himself, so free and easy. And Luis Gil, a guy who can make an impact as a third starter for the Yankees. We look at this rotation right now. It is Max Fried, who has been dominant, Carlos Rodon, who has had some really good games, and he's been a great number 2 starter to Max Fried. And then you got Will Warren, who has that strikeout stuff. He still has just to develop it a little bit more. And then you have Clark Schmidt, who is reliable. He, almost threw a no-hitter against the Orioles. So someone, you got 4 guys right now who are really doing well for the Yankees, and saving them from losing the lead against the Rays. Is only a 1-game lead right now, but those pitchers are very important down the line, and you want to throw someone in there who has that confidence. Luis Gil's a little bit more out to get back, but something going into this conversation about who you feel should be that fifth starter. I feel like the Yankees, should go in a different direction. They should, rely on the young guys, and especially with Ryan Yarbrough heading out, it's definitely very tough, and they gotta assess what they need to do with that fifth spot. So when we look at this series against the Reds, excuse me. This series was definitely very interesting. Max Fried, he delivered on this past Wednesday for the Yankees to get their bats going. 7-1 against the Reds. Max Fried, dominating after having a poor performance that led into a loss that past Friday against the Orioles. He came back and he was showing that he is the ace right now of this squad with Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole leaving right now, but I'm going to talk about the second game of the series because the Yankees lost the series all in all. Obviously, it was a good start, or it was a good positive thing for the Yankees to get that get that one game. But when we talk about the second game, Jazz Chisholm made a costly mistake that led him to get ejected from the game. And, this was very interesting from Keith McPherson on WFAN. He said, "It's not about impressing your fans. It's about the Yankees winning games. And you were selfish in that moment." And, I definitely agree. I feel like Jazz Chisholm is, he has that, as I said with Marcus Stroman, he has that sort of personality, that sort of moxie, that when you're doing good, you love that personality, you love what he can do. But when he gets over emotional like that, it can cost your team games. And especially in a top of the ninth, you got to keep your emotions in check. You got to keep your emotions in check because it's not only just his bat, but his fielding. It costs a guy on the Yankees, a Yankee starter that ended up playing fruitful for the Reds, and they won in extra innings. So, guys, leave your comments down below. Do you feel like I'm overreacting a little bit about Jazz Chisholm and his antics, or do you think that this is a cause for concern moving forward? But yeah, interesting series coming up with the Athletics. We'll see if the pitching can keep going, and we'll see if the offense can still ignite on a consistent basis. They've been able to show out. They've been able to show that they're the Bronx Bombers, but sometimes they turn into the baby Bombers most of the time, especially in the last couple weeks or two. So we'll see coming up. But yeah, my name is Alex Brooks, and I really appreciate you guys tuning into another edition of Yankees Digest. And go Yankees!